friends, it's Dr. Seema. Just wanting to put together some stuff that y'all can access while I'm on travel assignment. I have, as some of you know, I have gotten licensed in California, and I'm going to be taking my first travel assignment, doing mental health with inmates in Stockton, not far from my hometown of Modesto, California. So I'm getting ready to leave for that, and that is really why I'm putting all this together. I'm doing it. I know I am not the best at keeping up. I kept some TikTok videos going for a minute, and I just fell off with that. I'm just really not. I like taking in new ideas. I do get a lot from social media, but as far as posting, I'm not the best with it. Whatever the case, that can change. I can change. I can get better. So I'm working on it. For those of you who don't know me, my name's Corrine Brown. I am a licensed clinical social worker and board-approved clinical supervisor in New Orleans in Louisiana. I have my doctorate in social work, and as I said, I just got licensed in California, so I'm expanding my private practice. I have been doing private practice work for some years now. I call it the Mind Body Service Collective. Mind Body Service is all one word. I like to do a lot of wordplay. I think just as reminders, right? I see mind-body service as sort of formulaic for good mental health and well-being. The ways that our spirit is called to be in service. And that's why we're here. You know, I see us as spiritual beings, right, on a human journey. And I think if we are not finding ways to be in service, to others, and really following our heart, committing to doing our heart work. That's a major reason why we're struggling with our mental health collectively. It's really important we get a handle on that and realize that. There's a lot of people that would just as soon have you thinking that there's something wrong with you, and that, you know, a DSM diagnosis is somehow going to help you in some way. Not particularly, no. It really won't. DSM diagnoses are for accommodations, for accessing services and resources, as we all need sometimes, right? No shame in it. And it's not the answer, and it becomes more of a problem once we start over-relying, over-identifying with these diagnoses than it is helpful in the grand scheme. So I want to plant that seed. I just think it's time we get our minds right about that. Big Pharma will have everybody medicated and emotionally desensitized to fatten their pockets, and for all of us to forget that actually there's a good reason why we're not well. All right, we're not adapted to a toxic culture, right? If you haven't gotten a hold of Dr. Gabor Mate's The Myth of Normal, I think it's Trauma, Healing, Illness in a Toxic Culture, something like that. Good book, long overdue, real important. Check it out. He's got a lot of accessible videos on YouTube. We can learn about his perspectives. But yeah, more than anything, I just want to make some of these videos and get them posted for all so you can access them while I'm gone. You can remember to practice with the tools. The tools won't help you if you don't practice with them. And I know a good deal, I've shared a good deal, and people forget to do the practice. So maybe just come back and watch the videos. Maybe that'll help. I know this stuff isn't always, you know, my thing is I want to make it as accessible as possible. So some of the handouts. The Intuitive Vocalizing Therapy. This is essentially just a little handout, a little breakdown on how you can do some processing with yourself. If you don't have the means to go to a therapist, you don't have the financial means, you don't trust talking to anybody about your business. That's fair. That's totally fair. And healing is accessible to you. You don't have to put all your business out there. You don't need a DSM diagnosis necessarily. To do the healing, that is always accessible to you. You do need to be willing to go inward and really look at yourself. You have to do a number of things that I refer to as the Lyfe Hacs. So the Lyfe Hacs tied to Intuitive Vocalizing Therapy, the Lyfe Hacs are, the H is honesty. You have to make sure you're being real honest with yourself. These are the 3 tenets when you're doing IVT. You got to be honest with yourself. And you know if you're not being honest with yourself. I know, you do. So you got to feel that. You got to feel what that, where that lives in your body. You got to be aligned with your core values. You got to be aligned with those values. If there's something that you value in life and you are living in a way that does not honor that, you're not having integrity around that, that's a problem. That's going to affect your mental health. And then the C and S of Lyfe Hacs. You have to choose self. You have to center self. Self, as some of you know, is that source energy that you're living from. That's your heart. It's listening to your heart. And it's doing, centering self is something that a lot of us have been trained out of doing. We're told to, God forbid we get diagnosed a narcissist online, right? Everybody's a narcissist now. Problematic, y'all. We have to learn to love ourselves, and it is, stop calling everybody a narcissist. You need to learn how to center yourself. You need to learn how to maybe practice in ways that other people, you wonder, gosh, well, how do they seem so, disconnected and not concerned about what's going on with other people? How is it that they, whatever it is that they want, that somehow that ends up being their priority at the expense of others? Get curious about that. Get curious about that. There's something there for you to learn. So that's the Lyfe Hacs. I spell life with a Y. I think we need to remember there's a definition of life. Life is all encompassing with the Y. And I just think it's helpful to remember that there is a why to life. We are doing a life thing for a reason. Intuitive vocalizing therapy is essentially going through processing aloud as you record yourself. Just saying whatever it is you need to say. Pretend you're talking to a therapist, pretend you're talking to a friend, whatever it is. You're going to be honest with yourself. When you listen back, you're going to pay attention if you're aligned. The HA, you're aligned with your core values. You're going to pay attention when you listen back and notice, are you centering self? HACS, those are the hacks. That's the Lyfe Hacs. You practice IVT, you're going to get a little more familiar with what's really going on with you internally. The Lyfe Hacs are, it's something you can go through and you can just do with yourself. It wasn't too long ago, a wise New Orleans elder that I very much respect, and they do a lot of important work here in the city, and I was really curious to hear their perspective on what it is they felt we needed at this time. These really challenging times, so much going on in the world, so overwhelming, and we're exposed to all of it, like 24/7, if we're plugged in to the internet and the news. And they said to me, that what the world needs now more than ever is Jesus. That's what they think. Jesus. That's what they said. And they believe it. And it got me thinking about, what is Jesus for these times? Right? I see so much powerful work happening and organizing and people showing up for causes, like trying to end the genocide. Things that been going on that nobody was paying attention to before. Certainly not the critical mass of people that are now. Hugely important, beautiful. I see people embodying, the spiritual calling in ways I'd never seen before. And I'm so inspired and so proud of everybody out there just committed to their hard work. I see it happening. And this was some time ago when I was drafting, my work. That's sort of where I came up with this idea of, what would this intentional practice be? Sort of what would Jesus do in 2025 and beyond, right? I say 2025, but I've been doing this for a while. How do we fold this into Project 2025? Something that I call intentionality and service of impact. That's sort of our, what would Jesus do in these times? The IIOSI. Do with this what you will. You might not love this stuff as much as I do, but I get into it. Iisoi. Iisoi. When I look at it, written out, I like to write. Physically, I write. I look at it, written out. I say it aloud. Iisoi. 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 It gets me thinking about I am because we are, the Ubuntu, like the spirit of Ubuntu. I am because we are. Intentionality and service of impact. What are we going to do differently? How are we bringing intentionality into the ways that we move? How are we moving differently? I say I consists of a few of the practices, which have their own handouts, and we'll go over those at another time. The IVT, the Lyfe Hacs. That you are being honest with yourself. You are aligned with your core values. You are centering self. You're being real honest with yourself. You're turning the mirror, the lens on you, and doing that work, that shadow work. As uncomfortable as it is, because it is uncomfortable, and it's going to be, and it, if it's not, probably not doing it right. So that's okay. So lean into the discomfort. But the Lyfe Hacs, I think it's a big part of Iisoi, intentionality and service of impact. This is how I envision, when I think about this idea of Jesus, and what did Jesus embody, what did Jesus represent? Somebody who was self-mastered, certainly influential, certainly was choosing self, was moving in ways that were aligned with their own personal core values, and to whatever extent they felt that they were true to self. They were being honest with themselves. They were willing to die on the cross for it, right? So I think there's that. The Lyfe Hacs. Work with IVT. Tap into Lyfe Hacs. Another element, another practice with Iisoi is the fear in the play, reframing. Fear, the acronym to feel everything and remember. That's what fear is. It's a reminder. It's a reminder to feel everything and remember. What are we going to remember to do? We're going to remember to play. We're going to project love around you. I see God as love. I see, love as source. I just see, I see us as source embodied. We are love. We're here to live out our vision emphatically. That's what we're here to do. So project love around you. We'll go a little deeper into love and what that can look like too. But I think this is a core piece of Iisoi. Fear and the play. And finally, to kind of, wrap it up, people over profit. And I go a little more in depth in its own handout and another video. We have to center people over profit. All life, all sentient beings, our environment, we are not separate from any of it. This bizarre perversion, this obsession that we have with money, the ways that we have pedestal, we put money on a pedestal, we've made money God. That's tripping us up. Everything that's wrong with everything. Everything that's wrong with everything is rooted in centering profit over people. So we got to reverse. We got to turn the ship. People over profit. People is an acronym too. It's pause. It's the hard pause. That hard pause energy, that deep meditation, that deep prayer, that intention setting, that rest. Right? That's us being real honest with ourselves about how we can even show up. That's the pause. And that is critical to doing what we need to do. So the hard pause, all caps. That's pay attention until source elevates. And then we're going to bring that pause energy when we emerge. That's the E. We're going to emerge because we're people. That's what we do. Trust it. We know how to do this life thing. We're going to emerge. Let yourself rest if that's what you need to do. Lean into that pause energy. Get your mind right. Get your bearings about you. And then come out of that with real intention. Because then you got to organize. You got to organize after that. In whatever capacities we work, with whoever we work, that's what we're doing. We're organizing. And then we're going to practice. We're going to just keep on practicing. Keep showing up. Practicing showing up. You can also play with it. All right, we're going to keep projecting love around you. That's part of the practice. And so that we can evolve. That's what we do as people. We're always evolving. And the nature of life is cyclical. Right? So now that we've evolved, I'll go what we evolved and that's it. No. We keep evolving. And we come back. And remember, we always are centering people over profit. We do that hard pause again. We think we've gotten somewhere and we're done. No, we haven't. It's time to pause. It's time to take a look around us and get our minds right about what we're really seeing. If we've done the Lyfe Hacs, then we're going to be able to really look at that stuff. And so I think practice with those. Iisoi. Intentionality and service of impact. Iisoi. The Lyfe Hacs. Practice with the IVT. Fear play. The practice with the reframes. And people over profit. This is the ways we reparent ourselves and society. So yeah, I'll leave you with that one. Have fun with it.